Let me hit you with something no one else is saying, but every guy needs to hear. There's a reason your confidence fades the moment she pulls away. It's not that she stopped feeling something, it's that you never touched that part of her. The most intense and wild desire every woman has, but was taught to hide, isn't about flowers, compliments, or emotional support. It's about what she craves deep in her core, yet fears being judged for. And if you don't know how to recognize it, let alone activate it, you'll always feel like something's missing. What we're unpacking here today isn't just another theory. It's a real psychological shift, one that separates the man she dates from the man she obsesses over. And here's the catch. If you can't spot the hidden signals, understand the desire dynamics, and master the psychological game behind it, she'll chase that feeling somewhere else. We're about to pull back the curtain on what women won't say, but can't help feeling. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. If this message hits home for you, if it's connecting the dots you always felt but never understood, go ahead and show your support by liking this video, dropping your thoughts in the comments, and sharing it with someone who's ready to take real control of their life. That's how we grow this movement and help more men step into their true power. So let's start where most men get it wrong, and where you're going to do it differently. What she craves but won't confess. Most men think women want security, romance, or a good listener. And sure, those things help. But there's something deeper, something primal that she craves. And it's not what she'll ever say out loud. It lives in her body, in her silence, in her late-night overthinking. It's the kind of dark desire she's afraid to even admit to herself. Understanding this isn't about manipulation. It's about waking up to the hidden signals that are already there. But you've never been taught to read them. She won't say it. She'll avoid it. She'll even shame other women who want it too much. But deep inside, she wants to surrender to a man who carries alpha energy, who operates from emotional mastery, who moves through life with boldness, not just a guy who's nice or reliable. A man who sees beyond what she says and into what she fears admitting. And once you start to see it, you'll never look at a woman the same again. Picture this. You're in a room with her. She's laughing, but her eyes are scanning you. Her body's leaning in, but her words say, "I'm not like that." That's the tension. That's the moment where desire dynamics come into play. She's testing if you see her mask, or what's behind it. And if you respond with fear or uncertainty, the energy dies. But if you stand firm in your masculine frame, she feels it. And she feels herself in a new way. This isn't just about being dominant in some surface-level way. It's about embodying a masculine mindset that doesn't flinch when things get wrong. When a woman senses that you won't crumble when she pushes boundaries, that you like it, that's when she starts revealing the parts she hides. That's when the power shift happens. It's not about overpowering her. It's about giving her the space to drop the mask and still feel safe. Most men fail here. They listen to what she says she wants and completely miss what her behavior is screaming. That's because they don't understand female psychology. They ignore the behavioral patterns that show up in her body language, in her micro delays, in her indecisive texts. They respond with logic to something that operates on instinct. And you can't logic your way into repressed attraction. You have to feel it, spot it, and hold space for it. Let me be clear. This desire isn't evil, dirty, or wrong. It's natural. It's ancient. It's the very reason seduction truths have been passed through generations in silence. But modern culture told women to suppress it, to stay nice, to chase careers over connection. That repression doesn't erase the desire, it buries it. And buried things don't die. They mutate, they test. They scream in the form of confusion, distance, or resentment. Can you hear it? Every woman has this desire, some louder, some quieter, but all of them were conditioned to bury it. The twist? She wants you to wake it up. Just not in a desperate or needy way. She needs to feel that you're purpose-driven, that you live on your own terms, that your sense of self isn't swayed by her approval. That's the foundation of authentic masculinity. Not the fake alpha image, but the grounded presence that pulls her in without chasing. When she meets a man grounded in emotional control, something inside her shifts. Not because he talks the right way or reads pickup lines, but because his energy doesn't flinch when she tests him. She senses that his world won't crumble if she withdraws. That's rare. That's magnetic. It activates a side of her that's been dormant, waiting. A side shaped by hypergamy, yes, but also by biology, survival, and ancient stories passed down through silent tests. You see, she's not testing you to reject you. She's testing you to feel you, to see if your inner strength can hold her forbidden cravings without judgment. And those cravings? They're never about comfort. They're about surrendering to a man who's unshakable, who doesn't need validation to stand tall. This is where so many good men fail. They take her resistance personally, but her resistance is an invitation, if you know how to read between the lines. Think back to a moment where a woman suddenly lost interest after things seemed perfect. You thought everything was fine. You were attentive. respectful, emotionally available. But something in her faded. That wasn't about what you did wrong. It was about what you didn't see. You missed the sexual tension she was dying to feel. You offered safety when she was craving risk. And that's what makes this dynamic so misunderstood and so dangerous. The masculine must be felt before it is understood. She's not mentally analyzing your words. She's sensing how you carry yourself, how you walk into a room, how you breathe when she gets emotional. That's why masculine frame isn't a concept. It's a presence. A man can wear a suit, say all the right things, but if he flinches when she leans into her edge, she'll retreat. She needs to feel your dominance, not just hear about it. You don't access this side of her by being louder. You access it by being deeper, by listening without trying to fix, by holding eye contact without needing reassurance, by speaking from the gut instead of over-explaining. That's a psychological game. It's not about manipulation, it's about recognition. Recognizing that inside every woman is a part that wants to be seen fully, but only by a man strong enough to hold it. And here's the paradox. She'll never ask for this directly. She may even criticize it in public. But in private, she'll surrender to it if it's real, if it's embodied, if it feels earned, not forced. This is where boldness meets grace, where confidence becomes safety, where leadership doesn't look like control, but like calm direction. She doesn't want chaos. She wants to relax into someone whose alpha energy makes her feel like she can finally let go. The modern man has been trained to be emotionally soft, endlessly agreeable, and addicted to approval. That's not connection, that's performance. And women can smell it. What actually creates connection is emotional mastery, your ability to feel without reacting, to stay rooted even when she spirals, to not take her chaos personally. Because when you stop trying to control her feelings and start controlling your presence, you give her the freedom to feel everything. You can't fake this. You can't memorize lines, follow scripts, or mimic alpha behaviors from random online coaches and expect long-term results. What activates her repressed attraction is a man who's done the inner work, a man whose instinct is clean, not needy, not performative, but alive. That's why women light up around certain men without knowing why. It's not about looks or money, it's about male polarity, the energetic contrast between her storm and your mountain. There's a reason women get bored in perfect relationships. Because perfection doesn't create gravity, sexual tension does. And that tension comes from a man who doesn't apologize for who he is, who leads without force, who listens without weakness, who says no with love. This flips the entire script most men were taught. But once you get it, you'll stop chasing attention and start becoming the man women are magnetically pulled to without a single word. And here, a pause, but not just any pause. If your mind's lighting up with clarity right now, if this is finally explaining what no one else had the guts to say, then this is your moment. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications right now, because this is just scratching the surface. We're going into places most men avoid, but where your real power lives. You've been waiting for this truth. Don't scroll past it. Let's keep going. Imagine this. She's in your presence, and for the first time in a long while, she feels her own femininity returning. Not because you said something clever, but because your masculine frame invited it out. She softens. Her voice slows. Her breathing deepens. That's not random. That's her nervous system relaxing around a man who's not trying to fix her, but holds her emotional chaos like it's sacred. That's not game. That's authentic masculinity in motion. Now let's talk about behavioral patterns. These are subtle cues. How often she touches her hair, how long she holds eye contact, how her energy shifts after a slight tease. Most men ignore this, but these microsignals are part of the code. They reveal when she's present, when she's resisting, when she's aching to let go. Mastering this isn't about reading body language books. It's about staying grounded enough to notice what others miss. That's emotional mastery. Women don't want perfection. They want depth. They want contrast. They want to feel the power shift from performer to protector, from pleaser to leader. That doesn't mean being cold or controlling. It means leading from your core, from your purpose-driven life. When you operate from that place, she feels it in her gut. She feels like she's with a man she can lose herself in, not because he's loud, but because he's anchored. This is why superficial tactics collapse. You can only play pretend for so long before she senses the performance. True dominance isn't about ego or intimidation. It's about internal stillness. When she throws her emotional waves at you, do you absorb them or get swept away? That's the test. That's the space where her dark desire begins to surface, quietly, powerfully, irresistibly. And most men never even get close to that layer because they're too afraid of discomfort. Let's ground this with something real. Ever met a woman who seemed too much, too emotional, too unpredictable, too intense? What you were witnessing wasn't brokenness. It was forbidden cravings bubbling under the surface. And when a man doesn't know how to meet her there, she gets labeled as dramatic. But what if her chaos wasn't chaos? What if it was just an unspoken hunger for masculine polarity? That's what this is really about. She wants to feel your spine, not literally, but emotionally. She wants to know that you won't collapse under pressure, that your sense of self doesn't depend on her mood. That's how she measures inner strength. And when you show that you're grounded, not reactive, not robotic, but centered, that's when her shields drop. Her feminine opens in the presence of masculine mindset. And no, she'll never say that out loud. She'll just lean in and breathe easier. And let me tell you about Tyler. 34, smart, fit, decent job. Always got friend-zoned after a few good dates. He thought he was doing everything right, being respectful, available, emotionally honest. But women kept ghosting him. One day, after a deep session with a mentor, he learned about desire dynamics. He stopped over-explaining, stopped performing, started listening from his body instead of his head. Within weeks, everything shifted. Women started responding, leaning in, chasing him. Tyler's shift wasn't magic, it was alignment. He stopped acting like the man he thought women wanted, and became the man he respected. That's boldness. That's what awakened the part of her that had been asleep. He wasn't doing confidence. He was confident, grounded, focused, calm. That's what made her open up about things she had never shared with anyone. That's when the repressed attraction came to the surface, because she finally felt safe in her wildness. This is the thing nobody tells you. The more safe and grounded you are, the more intense her desire becomes. Not because you're a doormat, but because you're her mirror. Her instinct recognizes when you're holding back, when you're hiding your alpha energy behind nice guy behaviors. But when you let that masculine edge come through without being performative, it triggers something ancient in her, something she can't rationalize, only feel. There's no script for this. It's an embodied awareness. That means putting your attention not on what to say, but on who you're being. Are you chasing validation or moving from purpose-driven alignment? Are you leading interactions or following her emotions? Are you reacting to her stories or responding from your gut? This is the psychological game, and the deeper you play it, the more magnetic you become, not just to women, but to life. Most men try to understand women with logic, but logic doesn't reach her soul. What reaches her is emotional control, not the kind that suppresses feeling, but the kind that holds it like a storm in a glass. She doesn't want a robot. She wants a man who can feel without losing control. That's what creates the safety for her to explore her dark desire without shame. And when that door opens, everything changes. Here's the real kicker. The deeper her desire, the more shame she often feels around it. Not because she's broken, but because society taught her to suppress her sexual tension, to hide her hunger behind politeness, to trade truth for approval. So when she meets a man who feels her but doesn't flinch, her body remembers something ancient, something sacred. That's why your ability to hold space is more powerful than anything you could ever say. And this is where the game changes. Once she senses that you see her without trying to fix her, she starts to reveal layers no one else gets to see. That's the beginning of emotional mastery. Not for her, but for you. You stop chasing reactions. You stop needing to be chosen. You become the chooser. You lead with silence, with breath, with presence. And her behavioral patterns begin shifting around you because you're not chasing, you're holding. So many men today are starving for power in all the wrong places. They want hacks, scripts, and fast results. But this work? This is slower, deeper. It transforms who you are at the root. That's authentic masculinity. Not pretending, not performing. Just being fully masculine in a world that's forgotten what that looks like. And when she finally feels that in you, her hidden signals won't be hidden anymore. They'll come pouring out. She won't be able to hide it. The lingering glances, the deeper laughter, the way her body softens when you speak. These are signs, not just of attraction, but of recognition. Her female psychology is saying, finally, someone who sees me and can handle me. That's not ego, that's earned gravity, and that's what pulls her deeper, not into fantasy, but into the part of herself she was too scared to visit alone. So how do you build this? Start by facing your own emotional reactions without numbing out. Practice breathwork daily. Read books like The Way of the Superior Man or No More Mr. Nice Guy. Take cold showers, not for the trend, but for the discipline. Meditate, learn to observe without reacting. All of this strengthens your inner strength. These aren't trends, they're foundations. She can feel it, and she responds with vulnerability to your stability. Don't rush this. This isn't a sprint to seduction. It's a return to male polarity, a reclaiming of what's been numbed by comfort, porn, weakness, and lies. The world doesn't need more men acting tough. It needs more men who can be still when the feminine storms. Who can love without begging? Who can lead without pushing? That's your edge. That's your anchor. That's what wakes up her forbidden cravings. When you start showing up this way, everything changes. Conversations go deeper. Tension grows naturally. Attraction stops being a performance and becomes an unspoken current. And women begin showing you parts of themselves you didn't know existed. Not because you cracked a code, but because you became the mirror they didn't know they were looking for. This is where seduction truths live. Not in your words, but in your presence, in your silence, in your depth. So now that you see what she's really craving, what are you going to do with that power? Are you going to go back to pretending you didn't hear this? Or are you going to step up, level up, and embody the man she can't help but feel drawn to? Because the truth is, once you understand her dark desire, it's on you to lead, to stay grounded, to stop performing, to start becoming. What part of today's video hit you the hardest? What did you hear that made you rethink everything? Drop your thoughts in the comments and write this down. No more playing safe, it's time to lead. Thank you for watching all the way through. That alone shows you're not like most. You're here to understand, to evolve, to reclaim your edge. So if this video stirred something real inside you, hit that like button. Share it with a brother who needs to hear this, and subscribe so you never miss a moment of growth, clarity, and power. Let's build a generation of men who lead, not just in words, but in presence.